Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I make videos for anyone who's looking to improve in the card rating level, and I like to focus on middle game and positional play. And in today's video, I have a game, Anatoly Karpov versus Vasilin Topalov. Topalov with the white pieces, Karpov with the black pieces. And in my previous video, I'll link in the description, I was showing the theory to this line. And I said I would, when the theory ends from a certain position, I'll be showing a game. So this is the game. So Topalov started with e4, c6, d4, and d5. Also worth noting that in the previous year, because I believe this game was in 1995, in 1994, I believe that Topalov got beat pretty bad by Karpov. Yeah, so let's see how Topalov the next year handles him. Okay, so knight d2 takes, and we enter the Karpov variation by playing knight d7. Now, Topalov played knight g5, the main line, knight f6, bishop c4, and d6, stopping any bishop f7 ideas. Now, the main line is queen e2, and he played that, knight b6. And now white can go bishop b3 or bishop d3. I've shown the theory. I'll link in the description to both of them and the game. Sorry, excuse me. But white, he went bishop d3. Now once the bishop's retreated, black goes h6 finally and kicks his knight away. Knight f3 and c5. Once the knight's gone, we play c5. And Topalov took, once the main line takes, and knight e5. Topalov using the fact that the knight is on b6, and now he can use this e5 square without it being contested. So this knight's not really doing anything, so he brings it back. Knight 1 to f3. Because this knight used to be here, so he's getting weak pieces into the game, and queen c7. Okay, now here bishop f4 was played, the main line, and this was the position I left from the last video. This is kind of where the theory ends, after bishop b4. And I said I'll be showing a game, and this is the game. So it'll be interesting to see how you actually play this line as black. So Topalov here went 92. You can go king f1. I mean, 92, I'm fairly sure is the most common move. Yeah, 92. So he went 92. He takes, and he's taking because he has to take with the king. If he takes with the queen, it just leaves a piece hanging. And obviously, if he takes with the bishop, it leaves a piece hanging. So he has to take with the king. And now Karpov just calmly castles. Now you might be thinking, what the hell is he doing? Is there any discoveries? This looks very dangerous. Well, say knight g6. There's just queen a5, and he's winning a piece. So there's no discoveries. It's safe. Karpov knew what he was doing, and now king c1. Threatening knight g6 because there's no queen a5. So Karpov continues with rook d8, and now rook d1, getting his rook into the game. And you'll notice that this rook it's with the downside of playing this variation for white is that this rook's just completely out of the game, and he would have to try and get his king into the game and in an endgame and try and get his rook out. But Karpov here continued. I think this is quite a key moment, and if you do play this variation, there's a high chance you would have this position. And Karpov continued with 95. So he's attacking this bishop. He probably wants to maybe exchange it. Also, this queen's on aligning with the king, so there might be some tactics. And so Topalov just played bishop c4. Again, saving his bishop. He exchanged. After king takes, he played a6. The a6 idea is to go b5 and develop your pieces, and also you could maybe just go b6. You could probably just go b6 here. But with playing a6, you're preparing to go b5 with tempi and play bishop d7 and fear and your bishop, but also to win this bishop. So after a6, white continued with knight d3. We can't take this; it's defended, and our knight is hanging. Well, it's still defended, but queen c6. He took, takes, and this bishop is maybe a bit loose. But he went bishop d3, also just covering any checks. Now this is a interesting moment because when I saw this position for the first time over the board, I bring it up over the board first. And I thought that Topalov I thought he had a very dangerous threat of going bishop e5 and going like queen e4 ideas. But I was worried about this, and I was trying to figure out a way how he could prevent bishop e5. But Karpov, just being the composed, calm old champion, the great player he was, just simply continues with bishop d7. After bishop e5, he simply just plays bishop c6, very calm play. And after takes, most people would be thinking what on earth's going on here, and they would never do this. But after queen g4, Karpov, he doesn't even go queen g5. He just continues with king f8, and if this pawn's attacked, we'll see what happens. So after Topalov plays queen f4, and now nice and composed, he plays king g7. And now Topalov plays queen g3, and now finally he blocks once he's got his king into the game. So and this is almost like the same position as if he would have checked on g4, but now with kings, he's just pretty much an extra tempi up. And Topalov here continued with f3. If he does say nothing, like a3, then I think we can even take this bishop. So we had to defend his pawn. So we take that pawn. So we had to defend his pawn, and Karpov continues with f5. He wants to expand with his pawns and maybe try and get rid of his double pawns. Now he goes. I thought he would go queen e5, but after king g6, Karpov's just bringing his pieces into the game. So he went king e2, and now Karpov gains space and plays f4, and f4 is quite a nice move. And Topalov takes, and all of a sudden he's going to get his king into the game. And yeah, Karpov has a good position. He definitely has a good end game. If you do play this variation, if you ever come across it and you play the Karpov with knight d7, understand, maybe try and get an end game like this. But yeah, now Topalov continued with a4. And what I thought at the very start was a bad move. When I first saw it, and I thought just a5, put your pawn on a dark square and fix this on a light square. But that's what Karpov did. But then I realized if you play a5, you allow bishop b5, and say after bishop b5 takes, you have to defend this pawn, and he's getting his rook into the game, and he's just taking the open file, right? So then I thought you probably should play a5 just because of bishop b5. But here you can just continue with, say, rook c8, attacking this pawn. Say he has to defend it with c3, b6, and after rook d1, gaining this open file, well, you can just win a pawn simply with rook c5. So that's probably what Karpov had in mind if he took. But Topalov did not play bishop b5. Maybe he probably saw that. I didn't see it. I only saw it once the engine showed. So after this, Topalov continued with h3. And all these pawns are on light squares. These are all on dark. So maybe their targets, we'll see. It may be not so easy to actually attack them. But Karpov continues here with a very nice move. And he plays f5. And I really like this move. So before he wants to play king f6, but he doesn't want to play king f6 and have these pawns, have this pawn behind his king. He wants to first, before he plays king f6, play f5. What's maybe instructive. I find it interesting. And now Topalov just continue with, I think he played c3. So with now c3 after bishop b5, for example, let's play king f6. So after, say, bishop e5 takes, and all of a sudden rook c8 doesn't come with tempi. So you would have to play b3, and he goes rook d1 and gets the open file. So after king f6, he did play bishop b5, but Karpov calmly goes bishop d5. Now rook d8, and Karpov continued with rook c8. Idea to go rook c7. He brings his king in, and notice how Karpov's king is very deep into the enemy's position. I mean, Topalov's king's really just cut off here. And now Karpov plays rook c7, and I didn't appreciate this move when I first saw it, but I really did like this move. What's the idea? Okay, so bishop e2, and the idea is to go bishop c6 and exchange the rooks and find a way to push these pawns and pretty much win. So I actually did like rook c7 with the idea to exchange. Maybe something you can employ in your own games. So after rook e1, rook d7, he pretty much has the take, or yeah, he pretty much has the take. So he takes, bishop takes, and now b3, pawns on the light squares, and we'll see how this endgame goes down. So king d6, and now king f2. Notice white can't really get his king into the game. Notice the f4 move with tempi all the way back then. He got it in with tempi. Karpov probably had this position already in mind when he played f4. That's how much of a positional mastermind he was. But after bishop d3, Karpov continued with bishop d5, bishop c6, and king c5. And now he goes bishop e6. He wants to attack these pawns since they're all on light squares. And Topalov continued with bishop c2. And in this position, I was trying to work out what he should do. And I mean, if you want, you can pause this video and try and find out how Karpov continued. You can pause the video because I was trying to find out. I found it hard, but the idea was not b6. It was e5. Sorry, e4. The idea is, say, if takes. First of all, we have this nice connect free, so he takes. But now we take, and this pawn's dropping, and we can probably make a pass pawn as well. And I don't think white can easily attack these pawns. We could probably go like bishop e6, or and say this king comes here. Maybe play. We'll be able to defend it, but he won't be able to defend these pawns because we'll most likely be winning this pawn. So after e4, he did not take. He played king e2, b6, fixing these on dark squares, king d2, and now king d5. King e2, Topalov just moving his king back, and now Karpov's making progress. He's bringing his king here. Now he can move this bishop and maybe put this bishop on another square and not have to worry about these pawns hanging. So king f2, Topalov's just completely tied down. King e2, king f6, king e1, and now Karpov takes these chance. If you're wondering in this position, why does he not go king f2? Well, after e3, we're getting space, and we can play g5, and we can undermine this structure. I mean, it's all terrible. So he didn't go king f2 because he went king e1, and he's losing a pawn anyway. Takes, and now Topalov went king f2. And after g4, Topalov in this position resigned on move 54. And yeah, great game by Karpov, pretty much a masterpiece. And I think Karpov has a great record against Topalov. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah, it was an interesting game, very well played endgame, and pretty much no mistakes. What was my intention of showing this game? Well, if you do play the 97 Caro-Kann, then hopefully this game will be of use to you, because then you can see how to really develop your pieces. For example, after the mainline position you take, and just these basic ideas of how he got his pieces into the game. And yeah, I thought it was very interesting. I really enjoyed looking over this game. Also, by the way, I will be, if you're wondering why I always show the Karpov variation, well, it's just one variation I'm doing first. I'm going to be doing like lots of videos on other variations, but the next series I will be doing will be on the main line with Bishop F5. So Bishop F5. I don't play it myself, so it'll be interesting to learn something. But yeah, interesting how Karpov went with the King G7 and just he took on these double pawns because he knew we would be able to go Queen T5 and hold the glue. But yeah, great game by Karpov. Like pretty much just a genius. My favorite player. Tell me what you thought of this game. Did you like it? And yeah, have a great rest of your day.